Hey, you're listening to Just 3 Clicks. This is episode number 4, and today I'm with David.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Yeah, it's the room's a bit cold today, so gotta wear a coat.
Yeah, we're in January in the UK, so Preston is where we're based, actually. I'm from London, and it's a little bit warmer in London, actually, compared to up here, but I've gotten used to it now.
Yeah, just gotta wear more like hoodies and coats, I guess.
This is a good hoodie. You can't hear my hoodie, but you can see it if you're watching the YouTube one. So yeah, today we're going to basically talk about the fear of failure. I guess we could talk a little bit about the fear overall of just kind of progress, because I think like some people are scared of failing, but I think people are also scared of winning and not realizing.
Yeah, and I think it's being scared to fail stops people from starting. If that makes sense, like you can't. I mean, to get to where you want to be, you've just got to start. You've got to, if you want to lose weight, you've got to eat less and work out. If you want to start a business, you've got to get an idea. You've got to, work and actually start to make progress. And I think people never start and they procrastinate because, I mean, ultimately, it's a fear of actually, not doing what they set out to do.
Yeah. Do you have any examples yourself? Let's not talk about work ones yet. Let's see like personal life. What would you say?
I think probably one thing in the past has been, like, for me specifically, I kind of have two versions of me in my mind as what I am right now and as who I want to be in the ideal world.
Yeah.
And the ideal version of me is, six-pack abs, mentally, no anxiety, no depression, just happy, content, you know, relationship strong, more confident, more outgoing. And there's the version of me which is, what I consider perfect.
Yeah.
And to get to that version of myself, there's so many things I need to do to me right now. I've got to go to the gym more. I've got to control my diet more. I've got to work harder on my business. I've got to work harder, on my relationship and with my family and spend more time there. And there's so many things that I would need to do to get to that ideal version of me. It kind of like paralyzes you. You can't. Where do you start?
Yeah. What specifically? Like, let's say in the last 12 months, anything you've done that you were scared to start?
There's something recently which is, this was literally two weeks ago. So for years I've said I need to stretch more, I need to be more flexible, I need to just kind of work on that side of my body. And
Yeah.
about 2 weeks ago I started doing yoga. And honestly, like, I built up to this thing so much and I became so annoying. So all my family who've done it, like my wife, I said, so, like, what's the room like? Like, when you walk in, what happens? Because I've got a need to, like, be in control. And if I'm not in control of, like, the situation,
Yeah.
I can't, it freaks me out. So the fear of actually walking into this yoga studio and not being in control, like, absolutely freaked me out. And when I actually got there, even when I walked in the door, I was still a bit, like, am I going to be good at this? Am I not going to be good? Are people going to, like, watch me and judge me? Because I don't know. I feel like I want to be good at things, and I want to be. I look too far in the future about me being able to do these crazy yoga poses that you see on Instagram.
Yeah.
And because I can't do them right now, like, I feel like I'm not good enough to go to a class and people are going to judge me for it.
Yeah, I think classes are a good example outside of the business thing, which we will get to. But like, I started doing jiu-jitsu just over a week ago now. So I've done 3 classes now I've done. And I remember the feeling that I've got. I've still got the feeling every time I'm going right now because it's still quite new. Because I don't really know what I'm going to experience in that particular class because it's like I've only done 3 classes. So I went into that first class and I was literally panicking because I was like, I should just go home now because I didn't want to be hurt for starters. I put my contact lenses on because I thought if I'm wearing my glasses, that's one thing less to worry about. So I don't have to worry about them getting knocked off or anything. And I got into the class and they basically pair me up with like a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's been a black belt for a number of years. He's been doing jiu-jitsu for 34 years, I think he said. And he was 53 years old. So this is a guy who's like completely well versed in this thing, and I'm just thrown in to basically spar and roll with this guy. Rolling is what you would call it in jiu-jitsu. And yeah, I'm completely gassed. I'm getting thrown around all over the room, and it's horrendous, to be honest. But like, for me to actually start and get to the point of doing that, I've been wanting to do martial arts for years and years and years, and I've just put it off because I've always come up with a different excuse. It's like, haven't got enough time, or I'm going to the gym all the time. I go to the gym 6 times a week, so I'm like, well, I do that, so how am I going to physically fit it in and not be tired, and all these things, I suppose. And ultimately, like, the only thing that's really gotten me to go is just accepting that I am afraid, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, what's your ultimate goal with like jiu-jitsu? Like, what do you want to achieve? Is there anything there, or?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, to the guy that's training me, I told him on the first night, I was just kind of like, all I really want to actually do is just feel more confident, build my self-esteem, and that feeling I've got of fear of trying stuff. I think that's ultimately what I want to get rid of.
Yeah.
Like, and I know I'm not going to completely like abolish it because I think that's just human nature, but I think doing something like that makes me so uncomfortable will help me to adapt to other situations where right now I currently feel like it's a big deal, like social anxiety, for instance. I'm not very good at talking to new people in social settings. And that, when I compare that to going in and being hip tossed by a black belt, one of those is a lot more extreme than the other. So now I'm in that situation, I probably will look at that and think, you know what, this isn't really a big deal. And I think that's what I'm trying to get out of it.
So do you think like just getting started and walking into that class for the first time, was that like was that something really difficult to do? Because it was for me. When I walked into I was the only guy. There was all these women, right, and there was me, and like I just thought these women are going to be more flexible than me. They're going to have been to more classes than me, and I'm going to be the new guy who's just, I can't even like touch my toes. It's so for me, I just felt like I was going to be judged, and the crazy thing was everybody's too focused on themselves and what they're doing to even care about you. See, people don't even. I came out of the class and it was amazing, and I'm kind of addicted to it now. Like, I'm going 3 times a week, and I want to go more, and I'm looking at one-on-one sessions, and it was just getting started. That one session, just one time, getting over the initial fear and the initial kind of worry, and then it's become quite addicting for me now. So
yeah, I feel the same, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty much looking forward to going back. The next one I'm doing is Saturday morning, 7 a.m. And it's interesting because when I was reading on, I was on Reddit, on a jiu-jitsu thing on Reddit, and there was a question on there about from a newbie just basically saying, like, I feel really anxious every time I'm going to a session. Like, is this normal? And literally every single person that was responding said that they still get that feeling. Even years on, they still have a little bit of that nerve when they go in because they know they're about to physically be in an altercation with someone. It's like it's a physical confrontation. So you're literally attacking somebody, or somebody's attacking you. And it's like, I think like someone like me, I suffer from severe anxiety, like I know you do as well. And physical confrontation is one of those things that ignites the fight or flight response, literally the fight or flight response. So I remember when I was in the first lesson, and what had happened was, it was like they were teaching us how to block, and a guy like strike me around my head. And it wasn't a hard strike, it was just like a little kind of tap. It didn't hurt, but it shocked me to the point where I was like, I don't like this. Like, I need to get out of there and just go home. And like, that was the feeling I got in the moment, and it made me feel extremely uncomfortable in the moment. Like, I think that's the thing. I don't think it's about how hard you get hit. I think it's just the feeling of like, shit. Like, I'm in a bit of a shock state. Like last night, I went to a specific striking class, and a guy has basically full on blasted me leg kick in my torso by accident because I was supposed to block on one side, but he's gone to the other side, so it wasn't a malicious thing. And he shook my hand, apologized and everything, and I was like, it's totally fine. But in the moment it's happened, I'm like, I fucking hate this. Like, I need to get out of it. But now I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go back and I'll take another one. And I think gradually you just start building. I think David Goggins, the guy who wrote Can't Hurt Me, he talks about building like mental scar tissue, basically, is what he calls it. And he's been through some ridiculous amount of stuff, that guy. And he just talks about how you build up a resiliency to things over time.
Do you think like being comfortable becomes a habit, so that we make one choice in our life to not be uncomfortable in one area, so then we become comfortable in every area? And do you think the more things that you do that make you uncomfortable, becomes habitual as well, where you just kind of like jump into things without worry? Like I feel now that I've done yoga and I've now got over that fear, I want to do something else. Like I want to do more things.
Well, you took a cold shower this morning, didn't you?
Yeah. We were talking about it yesterday, and I think what it is with yoga, the reason I'm doing it is for my mental health and for my anxiety mainly, and then becoming more flexible, because anxiety makes you tense up and makes you it causes a lot of like muscle aches, and I'm trying to kind of do something that will alleviate that. But part of it is breathing, and breathing helps anxiety too.
Yeah.
Now, the breathing is really difficult. Like, I find it quite hard to control my breath when I'm kind of, putting my ankle behind my head and stuff. It's hard to kind of breathe properly. So I was looking at cold showers and how that can help you kind of control your heart rate and your breath. So this morning I was in the shower, and for some reason the shower in my kind of like ensuite wouldn't go cold. It went to like a decent temperature. I was like, this is actually quite okay. And I could have just said, you know what, it's not going to work in this shower, so I'll just go about my day. But I actually went to another bathroom in the house, and I put the shower on cold, and I got in, and honestly, like the noise I made was pretty much like like it was not, I had to be on my own. Like my wife was like trying to like, get in the room, and I was like, nah, you can't, I need to do this on my own, because I was pretty scared about it. But then, I timed it. I did 1 minute in the cold shower this morning, and I managed to I've got like a Fitbit so I can track my heart rate, and I think my heart rate went to like 125.
Yeah.
My resting heart rate is about 65. So that was, again, like we were talking about it yesterday, and I know you've spoken about having cold showers and kind of the excuses you make, but again this morning I've taken my first one, 60 seconds. It wasn't like a 5-minute shower. It was after my initial shower, so I've kind of got clean, washed my hair, done everything I need to do, and then I've said, right, 60 seconds, 1 minute, I'm just going to stand under cold water.
Yeah.
And I did it, and
there's a really similar parallel there to like getting punched in the head, because you like what you're basically doing is like getting that shock, the initial shock, and it's like, fuck, like this isn't good, I need to get out of the shower. It's literally the same feeling that I had there. It's like you want to just leave, but once you kind of persevere, I think it's like that good. It's just a really, I don't know, like it's quite an enlightening and quite an empowering thing once you do something like that.
I read something yesterday, because I was kind of I was reading about cold showers and how what people the benefits people have had after like 30 days, after a year. Because again, I need to, the way I'm wired, and I think a lot of people are, is I need to look at where am I going to get to.
Yeah.
So what's the ultimate thing? Like we're looking at Wim Hof, is it? He's never ill, and he does the whole kind of going under like ice caps pretty much, and that guy's crazy. But he spent a lifetime doing that. That's the ultimate goal of someone who's dedicated themselves to that one thing. I'm never probably going to get there, but to see where you can take it to over maybe a year's time. But I'm not going to be there initially. And I've kind of demonstrated that today when I get in the shower and I literally cannot cope for a minute. My breathing's all over the place. My heart rate's kind of skyrocketing.
Yeah.
You know, I could now look at this and say, do you know what? This is too uncomfortable. I'm not going to do it. I'll just sit in my warm shower and I'll just carry on doing it. But if I look too far ahead, I probably will do that. But if I just look to tomorrow and say, right, I'm going to do 70 seconds, I'm going to do 1 minute, 10 seconds, and then I'm going to do 1 minute, 20, I'm going to build up to 2 minutes. And then, you know, over time, I can kind of build up my resilience. And then eventually, maybe I'll just be able to have a cold shower and that's it.
Yeah, I think like the when you're looking at like your goal or something that you have to complete, especially when it's something like that where you're going to see the results after a long time, you really got to like become granular about how you achieve things. So it's like your milestone can be 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, and you have a streak. So like I'm doing meditation at home and like I use the Headspace app, and one thing that it does is like it'll tell you your streak. So it'll say, right, you've done 2 days in a row, 5 days in a row, 10 days in a row. So I got up to like 19 days and then I missed a day. But that doesn't mean I've now like failed. It just means, okay, cool, well, I just get back on it and I see how long I can run my streak. In a year's time, I'm going to have done 52 times 12 or whatever it is. I don't know, 52 weeks, so every day. I don't
Times 7.
365. Well, like, I don't know why I'm making it complicated. 365 sessions I would have done close to by the end of the year. So, you know, like that's the big vision is like, how close can I get to that number? It doesn't mean I have to hit 365. It's just like, I just need to hit like as many as I possibly can.
If you apply that to like diet, and I do this, and I probably think most people listening to this will do this. Does anybody ever do the thing where you're like, right, I'm on a diet, or I'm on a calorie controlled diet, but then I woke up this morning and I kind of had something that I shouldn't have. And because you then do that, you then say, right, now I'm just going to go to town on KFC, like Big Macs, I'm going to eat cake. Because you've kind of deviated from your plan, you then collapse and actually do more damage than what you should do.
Yeah, it's the all or nothing approach to problems. Unfortunately, a lot of high achievers suffer from that issue because when we see something works, for me, for instance, like if I see that something's working, I will go to town on that thing and almost to the point of compulsion where I will not deviate from the plan. That is it. That's all I'm going to do. But then if I wreck it on a day, it's just like, oh, well, tomorrow I'll go back to the all or nothing mentality. Today I'm just going to kind of let it all go and just completely fuck the day up, basically. So, like, I lost, like, 113, 114 pounds over a 2-year period. And, like, the biggest portion of that where I lost most of the weight in the best amount of time, so efficiently, was when I was basically eating in a calorie deficit every day. And I had the same foods every day, so, you know, like, good proteins and carbs. And, you know, I still had like bad foods. I had chocolate and things like that every day. All it was I was just trying to hit a calorie number and hit my protein goal every day. So it worked for 95% of the time. I'm always pretty much on my plan. When my day goes wrong, or if I have a day where I'm going to eat out, we're going to go to a restaurant or something, I kind of use that as an excuse mentally where it's like, okay, well, once I've ate my food, I'm going to have a dessert, then I'm going to have a flapjack bar and I don't know, some ice cream or something like that, and I'll just pack it all into like 4 hours and then feel sick. So that's what ends up happening.
I think, like, is that healthy or unhealthy?
Yeah, like, it's not, I don't think it's the best thing. Like, I wish I had a better ability to, like, I mean, my relationship with food is not great. Like, if I'm stressed, I just eat a lot of food. So that's why I was pretty much in that situation. It took me a lot of work and energy to...
I remember you lost quite a bit of weight and then you put quite a bit back on.
Yeah.
I remember, and it was like, I think that was obviously, and then you then recommitted, didn't you?
Yeah, like it was like a lack of understanding of how to really do it properly. Because I think most people's approach, again, it relates really closely to kind of what we're talking about building habits. It's like most people approach weight loss as a diet. And the problem is diets don't really work because a diet is something that you're supposed to do for a certain number of times. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go on the Atkins diet, which was the big first diet. Then it's like, right, I'm going to do the intermittent fasting diet. I'm going to do the keto diet, the low carb diet, the fucking whatever else they're going to come out with. And the problem is, people will lose weight over a period of time. It could be a whole year. It could be 2 years where they lose weight. But if they're restricting themselves from a certain type of food, so let's say you do a zero carb diet and you don't eat bread, you don't eat rice, you don't eat, anything with carbohydrates, like to the point where you're not even eating apples, for instance. And it's like your body's going to begin to like reverse and attack you essentially because it needs those things. Like we need all these things in our body. So what it came down to was understanding, right, I'm not going to have a perfect diet. I'm just going to have when I say diet, by the way, I mean my nutrition. So the diet, the word diet is taken in two ways. It can either mean, right, I'm going to have a restrictive way of eating, or this is the way I eat. When I say diet, I'm talking about the way I eat. So that's just my way of eating forever, basically. And my way of eating forever is I'm going to have healthy foods, but I'm also going to have things that are a little bit unhealthy, but they're not going to completely derail my day. So I'll have a piece of chocolate every day, like a nice chocolate that I enjoy. It's Lindt chocolate, extra smooth. It's like really nice. And I have a little pack of popcorn. So overall, it's about 350 calories. I have 2,000 calories in my day that I can play with. So those 350 calories, like, what's that? Like 15, 20% or something. So that small percentage of my diet is not great. But then the 70% of it is all on point and it's fantastic. And that's pretty much what I use to get myself down to a really lean 6-pack state, basically. And now I'm just basically, then I went and put weight back on in a controlled way where it was like, I want to gain a bit of weight so I can build some muscle. And now I'm kind of re-sculpting my body. But the point is like, all of that comes down to like building a habit. That didn't just happen all of a sudden overnight. It was like...
It's taken years.
Yeah, like literally years. Like 2016, I started losing weight.
And when did we start our current business? 2015.
Yeah. So it's taken a long time to really build that habit and get it ingrained. But like now, I couldn't ever live any other way. Like, and that's what I'm going to teach my son pretty much is like, this is how we eat in our house, basically. So I think it's just a long lesson learned, but it's like that with anything. Like you do yoga for 2 years, like you'll be in a completely different league of where you are now.
Yeah, and I think when I look at, I got into the class the other day and I sat down next to somebody else and, I'm same as you. I'm quite a socially anxious person and like I thought I'm just going to have to say something and like make myself feel better. So I broke the ice and I said, how many times have you been here? And she said, it's my first time. So I was like, that made me feel better because I thought, there's somebody else who's going to be as bad as me.
Yeah.
She wasn't. She was exceptional, like very flexible and was like doing all the moves that she needed to do. But it made me feel better knowing that, someone else was kind of probably on their own and a bit nervous as well. But I don't expect, I think now I've done the first session, I don't expect to be good at it. I don't expect to... being top of the class or to impress anybody. I'm just in my own zone and doing my own thing. And, I've got certain things I'm trying to achieve and, it's progress every day. So like in a minute, there's there's a couple of moves where I can't balance properly. I don't know the names yet. I just know like I stand on my left foot and push my right foot back and like try and balance in like a tabletop position. I can't balance properly and it really hurts, but I'm making progress because I'm trying every day. So every day I just do that one move. Like even if I'm in a class or at home, I just try and do it. And I'm starting to get better at it and get more balance. And, I think grabbing onto those small results and the small bits of progress, that's making me want to go back. If I thought, I need to be able to do that, what the person's doing on YouTube or what the teacher's doing, it can be really kind of demotivating.
Yeah. I think that translates really well into business because like I know when I started before I even started my business, I would see all kinds of success stories from entrepreneurs online, people making hundreds of thousands a month. And
well, at first it's inspirational. So you see it and you're like, I want to do that. But then when you try and you don't, it can go the other way. Like is there a way you stop that from happening? Like how do you kind of stop yourself from being demotivated in business and in life, I guess?
I think like I look at business in a really different way. And I think that's one of the things that I've applied recently is like I need to approach my personal challenges the same way I approach the business ones. Because in work, it's always just been a case of, well, we're just going to go and do it. We're just going to do it. Like whatever happens, we're just going to go and try this thing and see what happens, basically. And I think we've had that mentality for since we started this business. Like we didn't know it was going to grow to where it's grown to. It's just like we just kind of went out and tried all these new things and just pushed the barriers with everything that we had to try and grow it. Like, and we fucked up loads of things, but it never stopped. We were never afraid and said, oh, you know what? Well, we better not do this because if it fails, then we're going to lose this much money or this is going to happen. And
I don't think I think we definitely talk about it. Like we understand consequence.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop us because I think we can control it. So we can say, right, if we do this, the outcome could be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C are terrible. Like D, E, F are, okay.
Yeah.
Because we understand the consequence, we can kind of move forward understanding what can happen. I think that's where business differs a bit because you can kind of...
Well, let's pull it back a bit then and say, well, let's say you don't have a business, like, because we've both been there, where we haven't got a business where we can say, oh, well, we've got £500,000 or whatever in the bank, so if we lose 50k now, it doesn't really matter or whatever.
Yeah.
What about when you don't have anything?
I think when you don't have anything, there's definitely, I've spoken to probably tens of people, not 100 yet, but probably tens of people where they've asked me, advice on starting a business. And I remember one guy, this would have been 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. And what he wanted to do was basically work with small businesses. And I gave him this idea and I showed him how to do it. I said, right, we're going to get a domain because this was when it was easy to rank for keyword rich domain name.
Yeah.
So I'm from Preston, so I got PrestonAccountants.net, I think it was. And we put some content together, wrote it, put it on the site, ranked it. It was first in Google above all the accountants. And I said, right, now go and email 50 accountants and we'll rent the site out for £300 a month. So I did all the work for this guy and then he just never did it.
Yeah.
He didn't send one email. And he was telling me about all these dreams he had and how he hated his boss and how he just wanted to go in and just hand his resignation letter in and how he wanted to, work from a laptop on a beach. And he kind of saw that my lifestyle was that, and that's what he wanted to do. Now, I think about that quite a bit because I put my time into this guy. I put my time into helping him. I did all the work for him.
Yeah.
And I think what it was, and I think I can suffer from this and you may do it or you may have in the past, is we build up this fantasy in our life. We live in this fantasy world where, we have gone into our boss's office and told him to, fuck off and, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go and do this. And this fantasy becomes an escape. It's an escape from your day-to-day life where you're not happy. So when it comes down to crunch time, you're kind of afraid to jump and actually do this thing just in case it doesn't work and your fantasy's kind of been smashed. I think we can become protective over this fantasy that, who we could be or what we could do. And that's what stops a lot of people from actually taking action. And I think it's unconscious sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I had a friend who was doing an Amazon business thing, and I remember having a conversation just saying, well, what do you earn in your job every month? And it's like £1,500 or something like that. So let's call it $2,000. And I said, okay, well, as soon as you get your Amazon thing up to $2,000, then just quit your job. And they were like, well, probably not. I'll need to see how it goes. And in my head, I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? That you've basically just proven that you can make the same money doing something for yourself. You can now leave your job and just go hell for leather building your business. But literally all it is this fear that it's not going to work or something's going to go wrong or, they're going to regret the decision. And I think that's literally a fear of both, in a way, being successful or not. Because it's oh, well, if I'm successful, how do I maintain my success, and
It's
how
like
do I?
a bit of a victim mindset as well. Like,
Pretty much, yeah,
this doesn't happen to me; it happens to other people.
yeah.
Like that guy's lucky. He's lucky that he's got a business that does that. And I think people kind of, it's like a limiting self belief, I guess.
I think sometimes when you're trapped and you don't have a choice, I think that's probably when people really have to go for it. Like for me, I didn't have a choice but to do this, basically. Like I
Yeah.
had to make money in a certain amount of time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to pay for my wedding. I wouldn't have been able to support myself, literally. Like, so I had to do something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what allowed me to kind of go and prove to myself that I can do it. And, like I think what one of the other things is like seeing other people, I think like we said before, it has a bit of a double sided effect. It can either make you believe like, okay, well, if they did it, I can do it. Or it's going to be like, well, I'm not as good as them kind of thing, so I can't do what they're doing. And I felt like that with my weight loss thing. Like when I looked at people who had six packs and things like that and looked at myself where I was at that time, it was just kind of like, I can't do that. I can't get to that because my body's not right.
Yeah. Talking about that, like I'll bring something up because this is something that impacts me. So, the same as you, like I want to, I want to get in good shape, and I'm not probably as far on down the path as you are. But one thing that happened to me, like when I was a kid and I grew, I was like, when I was a teenager, I put weight on, lost it, then I put weight on again. Like I got stretch marks on my sides.
Yeah.
And part of me, like this goes through my mind, like this is taking it back to weight loss, is like, well, I'm never going to look that way because I've got these marks on my side. So like, even if I am perfect and my diet's perfect, I'm not going to ever be that way because I've got these scars.
Yeah.
That, that's, if you apply that to kind of like anything in life, like if I think that way and it's like a defeatist attitude, it's, because it's not going to be perfect, I'm not going to bother doing it.
Yeah.
That it's a bad way to think, but I can probably rationalize that in my head sometimes. Like if I'm feeling demotivated or I'm stressed, I can kind of rationalize that and say, I'm just going to eat this food. Or I'm not going to go to the gym because
Yeah.
it's never going to be perfect. And I think that's, a lot of people can get into that. I'm never going to be a millionaire. I'm never going to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to bother.
It's interesting because I think what happens is, right, when somebody has that mindset where it's like, I'm never going to get to that level, you get people who fall in the middle a bit where it's like, right, well, maybe I won't be a billionaire, but I might be able to earn 100K a year. So then what they do is they'll put in less effort because the less the effort they put in, the less they've got to lose and the less kind of impact it's going to have if they fail. So what ends up happening is like, right, we're going to start a business. Cool. So these are the tasks we need to do to start the business. And you have all the really difficult tasks on one side and all the really simple ones on the other. And what you'll do is like you'll kind of chip away at the really easy shit. Like we were talking about it earlier, like getting the business cards and, okay, I'll go buy a domain name tomorrow and that will be my task for tomorrow. And, then the day after I might set up my email address so people can email me, contact me, even though I have no customers right now. And I'll set up a Facebook group and a fan page because those things are easy.
I need headshots in my suit. I need to be professional.
Yeah.
So I'll get my picture taken.
So we all focus on doing like the easy bits and then put the big things away. And again, with the fitness thing, that's like a really big one that I've seen with people that go to the gym. So it's like the typical thing like leg day. Nobody wants to do leg day. And the reason is because it's the fucking worst. Like it literally is the worst body part in terms of like pain and exertion.
It's the biggest muscle, isn't it? So
yeah, like it is the most strenuous workout when you're going to go and do deadlifts and barbell squats and hack squats and all of that. It's really difficult, but it has the biggest effect as well. So if I was going to choose, if I had only one workout I could do for the rest of my life, I'm just going to do deadlifts and squats basically, and that'll burn the most calories out of every other exercise. But they are the worst ones. So generally what people will do is they'll skip those days and they'll do, bicep curls and things like that because they're not as hard. They're quite easy.
Yeah, I think that's what people do. I mean, we choose the path of like least resistance because that's what's easy.
I remember Joe Rogan talking about it. Like, we only really grow when we make ourselves uncomfortable. And like human nature, literally, it's in our psychology to protect ourselves. Like our brain wants to naturally shell up, go into the fetal position, and basically just make sure we're all okay all the time. So it's like the cold shower thing. Like your body's going to reject it because your body wants to be warm. Uh,
Yeah.
Control breathing. Like you want to just breathe at your natural body's pace because that's what your body's comfortable with. Um, Leaving your 9 to 5 job to go and build your dreams. Well, your mind's literally going to tell you, well, this is ridiculous. You're basically putting everything else on the line. You know, you need to be sheltered and safe. You need to have a consistent salary and whatever else. But, you know, those are the things that help us grow by making those big decisions. And sometimes they can be really small ones.
Yeah.
Like, they can be small
I
decisions.
think they've got to be small. They've got to start small.
Yeah.
Like you can make the big ones, but they generally are risky. Like I quit my job after 9 months of starting my business, and my family was saying, you know, it's stupid,
Yeah.
but I just did it anyway. And you know, thank God, you know, I managed to kind of grow my business, and I've never worked for someone else ever again. But you know, that could equally have gone the other way. But I just took a big jump, and I've been okay. And I think, I say, when you apply it to anything in life, it's just about taking a step forward. You know, it's you don't need to, you know, get to the end goal within a day. You just need to make progress.
Yeah, like I look at one thing I saw with the guy I was rolling with, the black belt. He's 34 years. He's been doing jiu-jitsu. 34 years. I'm 31. Like the man has been doing this for longer than my entire existence. So when I think about it like that, it was inspiring because it's like, you know, when I'm his age, like I would love to be in a position like that. I'd love to be able to do the kind of things he was doing. But he started exactly where I would have started, just basically rolling around, not knowing what the fuck's going on, and just basically getting slammed around. So, you know, it's just like consistent effort and knowing that if you fail, it's okay. Like it's just a learning experience. I know that's such a cliche. It's like if you fail, you learn, but it is a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. I think like this podcast has kind of been me and you just talking about this subject. And I think like it can be easy to kind of just not take it in and not take action. And we've obviously both spoken about things we've done this week and this year, this last 2 years. But I would just challenge anybody kind of listening to this right now to go and do something today that, you know, makes you uncomfortable. Because when you do it, you realize it's not that bad, and it you know, you want to do something else that makes you feel uncomfortable, and yet it might be uncomfortable for, again, 5 minutes or 1 minute, like my cold shower this morning. But
Yeah.
if I'm not prepared to be uncomfortable for 1 minute out of 24 hours, like I don't really deserve to be, you know, to move forward and to progress, because, you know, I'm not putting the work in. I'm not putting the time in or working on myself. So I don't really deserve to move forward.
Yeah, and you've got to really find your things because, like, everybody has different fears and different challenges. Like, my challenge really is my social anxiety and just my confidence and self-esteem. And it's interesting because it's like, you know, other people might have different ways of dealing with that. But for me, you know, martial arts is the first thing I'm doing. And today, actually, literally this evening, I'm going to a Toastmaster event. And a Toastmaster in the UK is basically when you have to go into a building where you don't know absolutely anybody. It's all strangers. And they basically give you a topic at the start of the day, at the start of the event, and they'll say, right, today we're going to talk about Fanta, like Fanta or Coca-Cola or something like that. And you then have to take the stage for 5 minutes and just talk about this subject for 5 minutes. I'm petrified right now because I don't know what this is going to be like. I don't know who's going to be there.
Do you know the
who's gonna be
subject?
watching.
No subject at
No,
all.
like I don't know anything about it. I've just got to show up and basically just kind of see what happens. So it's going to be extremely uncomfortable. But like literally the thing in my head right now is like if I was able to go and do jiu-jitsu, I can definitely do this. So that's what I'm doing tonight.
It's a lot of things to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah, like this year for me is just about trying to get me to move forward in my mindset. So I don't want to be, you know, the business is going great. Like we're all excelling with what we're doing in our business, and that's fine. But I think your mental growth is going to be the thing that carries you for the rest of your life, rather than money's like money, isn't it? It comes, it goes, and whatever. But your mental growth is kind of like the stuff you can't really like buy, is it? It's like you've got to go and experience those things and build those things. So
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of we kind of a roundabout way of talking about things and a lot of different kind of subjects, a lot of different examples. But
Yeah.
I think it all kind of comes down to one thing, which is, we're all probably scared or all fearful about doing something, and maybe, we all have aspirations to be somewhere, really far in the distance. But it's about bringing that sort of to today, bringing it to tomorrow, bringing it to the day after, rather than it being in 5 years' time, and taking those goals you've got, those aspirations, and breaking them down, making them smaller, rewarding yourself along the way,
yeah,
and kind of interweaving that with everything you're trying to achieve in life. Like, you're trying to become less anxious and more confident. Now, you would think that, doing martial arts, why would that do that? But it does. It's,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
you being uncomfortable in one way makes you more comfortable being uncomfortable in other areas.
Yeah. It's just about balancing the action. Like, for me, the martial art thing is like I'm with different people, and the feeling of being in a physical confrontation with another person and imposing your weight on them and somebody imposing the weight on you. It's even physical touch. The idea of actually grappling somebody and holding them and like pushing them around is quite a weird thing. Like, you don't just go on the street and just start holding people,
No,
because it's like an unnatural thing. And like, when I think about my social anxiety and talking to people, I'm not doing anything. We're just talking, basically, which is easy, rather than going and grappling a stranger and pinning him down to the ground. I don't even know the guy's name. Like, so if I can do that, then in my head it's like, well, I surely can just have a conversation with someone that I don't know.
definitely.
So a couple of resources that I thought would be good to mention is an app that I use called Loop Habit Tracker, which basically you list out all the things that you want to do daily. So you could put like cold shower, meditation, yoga, whatever, and then every day you just basically check it off. And the idea of the app is to basically help you build a daily habit. One thing to keep in mind is 5 to 7 habits is basically your limit for the 28 days, and they should be small things, not like, right, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do yoga, and then fucking read a book and learn a new language all in one day. It needs to be micro kind of habits. So mine are like, right, I'm going to make my bed, I'm going to do just literally 3 minutes of meditation, so it doesn't take up a tremendous amount of time. I do 30 seconds of affirmations, so I'll just spend 30 seconds in front of the mirror while I'm brushing my teeth, just saying some positive things to myself, and just things like that. They're really small things that aren't going to kill me. Like, it's not going to take me an hour to get through my habits, but over the whole year and over the period, it's going to start building up and building a positive impact. Another one is a book called Eat That Frog, which is essentially about tackling the big tasks first and being uncomfortable with dealing with the bigger things first, because I think we put things off all the time. And I think that ties in quite nicely with what we're talking about. And the last thing I'd mention is David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, which is a great inspirational read. Kind of crazy, because his story is graphic and quite gritty, but the underlying message of like overcoming your challenges is quite prevalent in that book. So that's a good book. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. That was quite a tiring like topic. It's it's probably emotional for me. It's quite. I'm still experiencing a lot of the stuff we talk about anyway, day to day, even if not in the business, but in my personal life. So
Yeah.
it's been like a therapy session in a way.
Yeah. Cool. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there, and then we'll see you guys in the next episode. Remember, make sure you let your friends know about this show. If you enjoy it, hand it over to someone. We'll send them a link and tell them to come check it out. It's just viddyoze.com/podcast if you want to check out the other episodes, and make sure you leave comments and share it on Instagram, Facebook, wherever else, and show us some love. And we'll see you in the next one.